Eddie Valiant, the hard-boiled detective from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. On the surface, he's your typical cynical private eye, but dig deeper and you'll find a complex man shaped by comedy, tragedy, and a second chance of redemption, all with the help of a cartoon rabbit. So, let's take a look. Also, feel free to like, share, and hit the bell. Also comment below if you want me to look over any heroes. Eddie Valiant grew up alongside his brother, Theodore Teddy Valiant, in the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, where their father worked as a clown. Life in the circus surrounded the Valiant brothers with laughter and slapstick, a world not far off from the chaotic energy of Toontown. Because of this upbringing, humor wasn't just childish nonsense to Eddie and Teddy, it was something to be respected. This perspective on comedy shaped their adult lives too. When they joined the police force, they were known as the Department Jokesters, literally wearing clown noses in official photos. Eventually, they transferred to the Toontown Division, a position that most other officers looked down upon. In the universe of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Toons are treated as second-class citizens, entertainment objects rather than people with rights. Most officers consider working with them beneath their dignity, but not Eddie and Teddy. Their background in the circus, a world full of cartoon-like personalities, helped them relate to Toons as equals, and having a clown for a father also probably fostered empathy towards beings who live to entertain others. From what we can tell about his work as a detective, he appears to be highly skilled at his job. For example, he successfully cleared Goofy of espionage charges and solved a kidnapping case involving Donald's nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, even though the others often mock him. He also mimics many behaviors from classic cartoon characters, such as Bugs Bunny munching on a carrot. Unfortunately, one day, while trying to stop a robbery at the National Bank of Toontown, a Toon dropped a piano on Teddy's head, killing him instantly. This tragedy shattered Eddie. The loss of his brother, combined with the absurdity of how it happened, pushed him into a deep spiral of grief, guilt, and alcoholism. He became bitter, angry, and completely cut off from the Toon world, swearing never to take another Toon case. As the older brother, he likely felt he had failed to protect Teddy and the world around him. His personal and professional life unraveled. He was broke, in debt, and his relationship with Dolores, his longtime girlfriend, fell apart. However, years later, Eddie is pulled back into the Toon world when he is hired by R.K. Maroon, a shady film producer, to take compromising photos of Marvin Acme, the owner of Toontown. This job is just about money to Eddie. He is broke and sees it as an easy case with no real involvement with Toons, as now his hatred of Toons is deep, frowning and scowling anytime he gets near them. Eddie even mocks Marvin Acme for spending too much time with rabbits, showing that he understands how being around Toons can make someone look foolish, at least to him at this stage of his life. Later, when he goes to Dolores to pick up the camera, Angelo ridicules him, which makes Eddie snap, angrily kicking the man's chair and insisting he doesn't work for Toons. This reaction reveals just how strongly he wants people to know he dislikes them. At the same time, it highlights the stigma he carries because of his past work in Toontown. This is also shown when the other cops mock him with Toon-related props. He is treated as a joke by others, but it also creates a dangerous misconception. People underestimate Eddie, failing to see that he is a sharp, capable detective whose skills make him far more formidable than they realize. When Eddie visits the Ink and Paint Club, his knowledge of Toon culture becomes even more apparent. He knows the secret password to get inside, and when he orders a scotch on the rocks, he anticipates the possibility that the Toons might literally serve him a glass filled with rocks, showing his awareness of their cartoon logic. Once inside, he compliments Betty Boop and even asks, "Why is she working here?" This moment reveals that, despite his hardened attitude, Eddie still has a soft spot for Betty Boop. It also hints at his deep understanding of the club itself, a place where struggling Toons try to get by. His respect for Betty Boop stands out, as her presence prompts him to question, why is she in a place like this? Later on, a scene provides context. His brother, Teddy, once owned a Betty Boop statue, suggesting that she was his or perhaps their favorite Toon. But things quickly spiral when Acme is murdered and Roger is framed. Eddie is then asked to help Roger on account that it was partly his fault. At first he refuses, but then Roger shows up at his house and accidentally gets him more involved, which puts him in danger, so he has no choice. Then once the Weasels, Judge Doom's henchmen, show up to find Roger, he hides them, showing he still has a protective side to innocent Toons. However, as he is solving the case, his point of view starts to change the longer he's with Roger. Roger and Eddie are polar opposites. Roger is goofy, childish, and hyperactive, everything Eddie hates. But Eddie's past experience working with Toons helps him understand Roger better than anyone else. And despite his resentment, Eddie protects Roger even when it puts him in danger. Their relationship becomes the emotional core of the movie. Eddie learns from Roger that laughter can still have value, even in a cruel world. One of the key moments is when Roger makes an entire bar laugh. It reminds Eddie that humor can bring people together, not just be a punchline. We see this again when he goes to confront R.K. Maroon about a connection and use one of Maroon's joke props to get the upper hand. He then threatens him and finds out that there's a plot to destroy Toontown. While chasing Jessica Rabbit, Eddie Valiant arrives at the entrance to Toontown. There, he retrieves his old Toon gun and pours out his bottle of scotch, a symbolic gesture rejecting the self-destructive path he's been on since his brother's murder. This moment marks a turning point in Eddie's character. He rediscovers his sense of duty and purpose, choosing to protect the Toons and their world once again. Inside Toontown, Eddie confronts Judge Doom and the Weasels. With no weapons left and seemingly no way out, he resorts to humor, drawing on his past as a circus performer through slapstick antics like juggling, acrobatics, and pogo stick tricks. He makes the Weasels laugh themselves to death. By reclaiming his sense of humor, Eddie reconnects with the joy he once knew, making this both a personal and symbolic triumph. During the final showdown, Judge Doom reveals a chilling truth. He is the Toon responsible for Eddie's brother's death. For the first time, Eddie is visibly shaking, yet he overcomes his fear and defeats Judge Doom by turning his own deadly dip against him. With Doom vanquished, Acme's will is found, granting the Toons ownership of Toontown. The threat of corruption and destruction is lifted. Eddie has not only solved the mystery, he has redeemed himself, honored his brother's memory, and found a new sense of purpose. And that was Eddie Valiant. He is more than just a grumpy detective in a cartoon world. He is a tragic hero, a man who lost everything and regained his humanity through a case that forced him to laugh, love, and protect again. And by the end, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Eddie seems ready to rebuild his life, this time with his heart and humor intact, and possibly with a new mission to continue helping Toons. Thanks for watching.